Hello everyone and welcome to ING University. On tonight's episode of Friday Night Explorer, we're gonna explore Gary, the mono black devotion that kind of ends game with Gary, the Grey Merchant of Asphodel. I think that's the name. Alright, so this card is infamous in Commander. If you play Commander and someone plop down a black deck, you know Gary's gonna come and make you lose a bunch of life. So that's kind of the idea of this deck, but it is an Explorer. So we gotta be very careful about all the fast decks that overruns us. We're still playing a Devotion deck, but we are not a mono green Devotion. It's different. We're not aggro. We have to try to tempo out. Mono black control more or less, but with a spin on the Devotion. Alright, so the deck starts with a lot, and I mean a lot of removal. We got 4 Fatal Push for creature with mana value 2 or less, or if our creature dies, or our permanent dies, right? Then it'll be mana value 4 or less, which is a lot of creatures in the current metagame. And then we got 4 Shambling Ghast. That card is gonna -1/-1 on a lot of Thalias, but also it's got treasure tokens, so against control deck we can make treasures. If you recall back in the Kaldheim standard days, this card is insanely good when combo with the Deadly Dispute. That kills all the aggro decks that wants to go through the Luminarch Aspirant routes. Comes in, die. That's kind of why Shambling Ghast was so welcome in black decks. And then we got 4 Thoughtseize. We don't have to talk much more about Thoughtseize. It's just hand disruption. Then we have 4 Deadly Dispute. Sacrifice our Shambling Ghast, get stuff. And then we have 2 gold for the throw. Just 2 for removal. A little bit lighter, but because our deck is filled to the brim with other cards that is capable of removal. We got 2 Gifted Aetherborn, which is Death Touch Lifelink. So against burn decks, we can gain life. Against tall creatures, we can Death Touch them. And then we got 1 Tymaret, Chosen from Death. This card is kind of the replacement for graveyard removal because this also has its Devotion toughness. So it gets toughness from its Devotion, so at the very least it's a 2 mana 2/2, since it itself is devoted to black by 2. But also it can get way bigger, and that's you can pay 2 to exile 2 cards from a graveyard and gain life that way. So against decks like Abzan Greasefang deck, this is definitely crucial. But against Greasefang deck, a lot of times you just want to remove their Greasefang as soon as they come in, and then once you have kind of stabilized, then you can start removing their things. We got 2 Yarok, Fenlurker, Yarok's Fenlurker. Whenever it enters, our opponent exiles a card from their hand, and then we can buff it very slowly if we were kind of flooded, but mainly it's just the exile card from our opponent's hand. We got 1 Meathook Massacre against Board Wipe, or 4 Board Wipe against aggro, and we got now 1 Pelakka Predation. Look at our opponent's hand and discard a card with mana value 2 or greater. Basically, it's just a land. And then we have 2 Liliana of the Veil and 2 Murderous Riders. Very good 3 drops for all mono black decks, but also can help us get our devotions if we need to. 1 Hagra Mauling for more creature removal, and 2 Sheoldred, the Apocalypse, and 2 Phyrexian Obliterator. Now, you can argue that you want to run 4 Sheoldreds, and Phyrexian Obliterator isn't that good since it dies very easily to removal, but Obliterator is great against burn decks, but it's also great for mono black devotion, right? It's 4 pips of mono black devotion. And then we can have both of these out. If you have multiple Sheoldreds in your hand, you can really only play 1. And in the 5-drop, we got the Gary, 2 Grey Merchant of Asphodel. Whenever it enters, opponent loses X life, we gain X life, where X is our devotion of black. On multiplayer games, this is fantastic because you gain life equal to all the damage you deal to each opponent. But against one-on-one, it's not that great. It's kind of like a corrupt, but I think it's okay. It's in 1v1, we just need to deal 20 damage total, right? And then we got Invoke Despair, the great card in black that basically stops everything. And then the land base, we got 2 Castle Lockwind, 1 Hive, 15 Swamps, 1 Takenuma, 1 Field of Ruin, and 2 Nykthos. It's a very sort of finicky land base because we don't want too many Nykthos. We have a lot of black pips, and we need to play them early. So too many Nykthos are gonna bottleneck us, and we're not mono green, so we can't really filter out all the lands very easily. And we have 2 Castle Lockwind for card draw, but you don't want 4 just because chances are you're not gonna activate this very often since the curve is heavy. Now, if the curve is heavy, you're going to have a lot of cards in your hand, and you don't want to draw and take like 6 life, right? So that's kind of the idea of the deck. Mono Black Devotion, definitely not as high tier as Mono Green Devotion, but it could be fun. So let's go and try it out and explore. So let's go. Go, Gary! Everybody loves Gary. Actually, no. When you play Commander, everybody hates Gary. Alright, Kansion? Kanson? I don't know how to say this guy's name, but we get to go first. Alright, see, this is the problem I was afraid of. We got Nykthos, Lockwind, both tap lands, but at least we got a swamp, so we can play a swamp, so or not both tap lands, both useless lands in the opening hand. But we got swamp, so that Castle Lockwind isn't useless, and then after that, Nykthos will not hurt us much. So, what are you playing here? Oh, okay. Thoughtseize, huh? What can he Thoughtseize? Our Meathook? Probably our Meathook, right? So, let's just take out Sheoldred. Sheoldred's scary. Thoughtseize your Thoughtseize? We got nothing. What do you got? Just take the Meathook. You know you wanna. Alright, Ghast. They can Fatal Push our Ghast if they want, that's not really a thing. Just play your Bloodtide Harvester, what are you doing? Alright, well, if he wants to do that. We'll do it again. Try to catch us off guard with something. Come on now. Really thinking it out, huh? You want to Fatal Push my Shambling Ghast? That's a play you want to make? I think I'm going to play the Hagra Mauling here. Because I need 4 mana to activate the Castle Lockwind. I'm out of cards entirely. So the Castle Lockwinds can get us card draws where our opponent doesn't have. And that's pretty good. Come on, Kansion. You gonna Kansion something? That sounded dirty. Alright, our opponent's doing the rope thing. They're playing a top tier deck, and they're still gonna rope. That's just embarrassing. Alright, they got the Bone Crusher Giant. Why didn't you cast it? Alright, I guess maybe they're not in the game. Maybe they just DC. They're not gonna block this because they're using their roper. That was 2 rope, right? 3rd rope and they'll explode. I don't know. This rope's gonna take a while because it's their active main phase. And I think on the active main phase, they get 14 years for the first rope. And we got away, you know? It's fun. Looking at a Mutavolt. How good is a Mutavolt in this situation? I think Bloodtide Harvester should be coming down, and then you play the Mutavolt, and then you pass turn. I mean, it does look like I have a tempo advantage, but I don't really. The only thing that I have is the Castle Lockwind that can give me card draw. And I have only basically 2 cards in my hand, and my opponent knows exactly what they are. So, nothing really to be afraid of playing into it. But, you know, sometimes opponent's gonna opponent, right? And it's a great first game to show how Mono Black Devotion makes our opponent cry. Now the problem with this deck is the lack of card draw in a lot of situations. Like, we don't have Phyrexian Arena. Alright, I think I'm gonna explode. No? Just give us a whole turn? Alright, it's fine. Now they're gonna explode, because this is my active main phase. They only get 13.5 years for this next rope. So, my plan is probably to play Nykthos, not do anything, and draw cards. I don't think the Tyrell does much, because it'll just die to his cut down, or not cut down, Fatal Push. So, that's, unless he plays a Fatal Push on my Shambling Ghast, then I might play the Tyrell. Even then, I'm hesitant. Tyrell's gonna be pretty good against the Titan. I forgot what the Rakdos Titan is, but the one that escapes, right? So he's gonna cast it. I'm gonna have to discard a card, probably gonna Fatal Push. It'll get sacked, and then I will play Tyrell to exile it. That's gonna be useful so that he can't escape it. But all that doesn't matter when our opponent is basically not even in the game. The computer decided that he does not deserve to play the game, so it went to friends. Or something. Is that what the kids call it when they DC? Alright, everybody excited about Eldraine? Honestly, I want to talk more about the Lord of the Rings and Eldraine, because in my pack opening, I talked about Lord of the Rings a lot, about how I was really disappointed. I don't want to say upset, but disappointed with the Lord of the Rings set, because the card is just hot. The whole set was hot garbage, right? And you got basically the Bowmaster and the One Ring. That's the only two cards, and one of them has nothing to do with Lord of the Rings. All right, and we're gonna go first with Thoughtseize. So before I blamble him too much, Thoughtseize his hand. What are you playing? Oh, that's what you're playing. Interesting. Well, how good is a Censor? I don't care about the Meathook. I don't go that wide in this deck. Do I go that wide in this deck? I do have a lot of devotion. But Censor is kind of annoying. It's fine. I'll play around it. Actually, I have nothing to sack the Deadly Dispute. So I'll play a tap land. This sacks artifacts too. I don't have artifacts to sack either. Alright, he's gonna waste his cling just to draw a card. Makes sense. I've got nothing to play, so I'm gonna filter out my land a little bit better. This is not gonna be a fun deck because our opponent is a Dimir counter spell heavy deck. And they're discard heavy too, so if we draw a discard, it actually helps me a little bit. But I will pop his Hall of Storm Giants while I still can. We get our castle, but this is a pretty painful castle to use. I'm gonna draw 5, draw 1 card, lose 6 life. Oh, thanks. This might change my mind. It's got a lot of lands we can filter out. It's probably a Waste Not deck, but a Waste Not deck with blue is kind of weird. Oh, I forgot he has field. Well, the thing about his field is I've got a lot of targets for it. Really, he has to make a choice. Right, he's gonna field the Lockwing or field the High Tyrant? High of the Eye Tyrant? Well, our opponent's making decisions. Oh, well. I'm gonna take that 6 life. So I was talking about Lord of the Rings, and that whole set was hot garbage. It shows. No one's playing any card other than the Bowmaster and the One Ring in almost any format. And now they've gone ahead and released the new Lord of the Rings set. Well, got spoiled, basically. And the new Lord of the Rings set is so good. It is incredible. And that's what I thought it should have been. Alright, let's this is probably just going to get countered, but that's fine. I'm not doing anything anyways, and this is a horrible, hot garbage hand. 2 Deadly Disputes with nothing to sack. Oh, wow. You're just going to let it happen? You're going to give me damage card advantage? Well, sometimes opponents just do what opponents do, right? And you're going to give me another card? Alright, I'm going to pitch a Fatal Push. I don't think he has creatures. And then I'll discard Meathook Massacre, because I don't think it has creatures. What does he do? What does that deck do? Honestly. Alright, let's play a Yarok. Fenlurker. How does he have 14? Oh, it's the Invoke. Yeah, what did he exile? Fable Passage? I'm so confused. Is he just maybe it's a mill deck? Do I need more lands? Probably not. I would probably draw more lands with the way things shape out. Psycho is Censor. Okay, that's the last card that I know in 10. Unless I draw another... Oh, yeah, exiled it. Yeah. One Thoughtseize, right? I have more Thoughtseize in the deck. Definitely going to help eventually. I'm at 12 though, so gotta be a little bit careful. I don't know what's going on. This deck is weird. They've got to do something, right? What's going on? Ashiok. Okay, that's what they're doing.
Listen to my whispers, and terror lurks among us.
I have two go for the throw. Let's use one. Confusing. Maybe he has a counterspell? Negate? Probably a negate, right? Let's try attacking and see what happens. Can I buff this? Do I still have 5 mana? No, I only have 4 if I buff it, right? It only gets +1/+1. That's a very awful buff.
I sense your fear.
I'm very fearful of what's happening. Very fearful. Okay, no, I'm no longer fearful. Well, you just play it with no protection. Here's Shambling Ghast. What deck is this? Just a bad Ashiok deck? I'm confused. Maybe he has another Ashiok. Those are our only 2 Invoke Despair, so we can no longer invoke their Despair. Narset. Well, I'm gonna respond to that. You want to counter it? You can counter it. Censor? We know he has Censor, but it's gonna tap him out a little bit more. Oh no, I can't draw anymore.
I train every day. No one is more prepared than me. Meditate and prepare.
Meathook Massacre. Would he Meathook for 1? He doesn't Meathook for 1? Okay. We got another Shambling Ghast. He's holding up 3 mana. Maybe he has a removal for the eye. Just take out his clean. Just want to draw and discard a card. Okay. I mean, I guess that's the combo. What? That's the combo? That's it? I would take out a Fatal Push. Yeah. You got it. You got it. That was... Oh, man. Top tier gaming right there.
I shall miss your company.
I don't miss. I'm gonna delete this dude right now. Before you narset me again, you jerk. Meathook for 1. What if I just buff this for 1? What happened? Use my treasure? I have a lot of mana. If nothing else, I have a lot of mana. If nothing else, I have a lot of mana. Well, I'm not gonna play another Nykthos, so... Take 1. He takes the 1. He takes the 1. I'm gonna play my Tymaret. Just a 2/4. I'm not very devoted at all. Thank you for the free card draw. Not a great draw, but, you know, it is what it is. He's drawing a lot of cards. He's on 34, I'm on 30. I'm drawing more cards than he did. Okay. So, the 2 Invoke Despair really did things, huh? This does not do damage, it just exiles for life, right? What is he even? He doesn't have any creatures. We just randomly exile cards in his graveyard. Does he have anything useful in the graveyard that might get us? Not really. I'll just go to my turn. They got a haul. Memory Deluge. He's really trying to get something out of this. This is a wonky game. And we've not drawn any of our good devotion cards. We just got the 2. Okay, to be fair, we got a 2 Invoke Despair. That was pretty good to stick. But for some reason, he didn't counter our Invoke Despair. He countered our Deadly Dispute. Drown in the Lock. How many cards does he have in his graveyard, actually? 9, huh? Mana value less. I have to exile how many cards? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I gotta exile 8 cards, right? Exiling 8 cards costs 8 mana. I have not enough mana for that. But I have enough mana to at least get rid of the sensors. Or something. Yeah. I can add 4 mana. 5 with this. That's not enough to exile everything. So you get to drown in the lock that, I guess. Sheoldred's Edict. Sacrifice a non-token creature. So weird. I'm not sure what this deck is supposed to do, but it's doing better than what I'm doing, because my draw has been no bueno. That has been absolutely awful draws. Yeah, see, this is not good draw. Let's just hide him. He gets all the Memory Deluge. I have 26 cards. I have so many high devotion cards in the deck, and no, none of those. We have 2 Sheoldreds, 2 Phyrexian Obliterators. There goes our Hive. I don't think they have creatures in that deck entirely. We have a Shark Typhoon. And our Invoke Despair is gone. We have Liliana, giving him discard a card. And they have a negate. Do I want to play this out? I don't want to play this out. This is just... We drew all the lands in the deck. I mean, all the short end stick. Like, it's not drawing one short end of the stick. We draw every short end of every stick in that matchup. That was horrendous. 2 Sheoldreds, 2 Phyrexian Obliterator, 2 Liliana. None of that. Just none. And we even cast 2 Invoke Despairs, and the Invoke Despairs drew us into lands. So, well, you know, it is what it is. To be fair, our opponent had a terrible deck too, or we'd have lost a long time ago. That was a very janky deck, but I commend them for their idea of playing Narset with that draw and discard. I mean, that's a interesting combo if we're playing, like, not Arena, if we're playing EDH. But it means nothing in Explorer because it's so much faster. You make me discard a card with the cost of like 5 mana. Good job. Uh-oh, opponent goes first. Now we get our Garys. Oh man, 2 Fatal Push with an opening hand like this makes me want to keep, but I don't know if I can keep this hand with 2 lands. I'm gonna have to draw into really good cards. Did we keep anyways? That's our only 2 Gary. Is Gary gonna get us into the game though? We need to draw a land. None of these are card draws. Alright, this is even worse, but... Do I need 2 Thoughtseize? The Meathook Massacre is good. I only have 1 off, so putting it in the bottom is not a great idea. Guess we'll put back a Thoughtseize. We're not going first anyway, so 2 Thoughtseize are definitely not something that will help us. Mono red. Well, we're gonna take 2 damage, but at least we can take something out that will do more than 2 damage to us. Wizard Lightning? Alright, so we'll take this out, no creature attacking us. We can exile a card. Probably exile his land, but it is what it is. He has no wizards. This does 3 damage. Oh. This does 3 damage. And cost 2 less if he controls a wizard. No blocks. Will he deal 3 damage to my Yarok? He would not. So I can go for the throw one and Fatal Push the other one. If the worst comes to worst, that's what I'm gonna do. I can't Meathook -1 anything. So it really depends on what he draws, right? Yeah. He might just shoot the 3 damage to my face. Play with fire. Alright. So if he has any creature next turn, that's what we gotta be careful about. We're gonna Fatal Push 1. And I guess we'll go for the throw the other one since he's not gonna attack with anything. Whatever creature he plays can't get Liliana. And if he doesn't play Liliana, if he doesn't play anything, Liliana would just force a card out of his hand. Or I can get a Lifelinker, right? Lifelinker would just get shot down.
When I win, you're telling me what you know about the Raven Man. You won't be outsmarting me.
Interesting. So you wanted to keep that last card there? How good is that last card? Oh, it's a Wizard Lightning anyways. Okay, that's... He draws 2 cards. He gets to play them until the end of the next turn. I got nothing to Thoughtseize, so I might as well +1 into it. Do I?
Drop it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna deal damage to his, whatever, Majigger. The Life Linker is gonna help a little bit more. Liliana's gonna make him sack whatever creature he plays. Or not. I mean, what are you thinking? Attacking? Not attacking? I got a Life Linker here. What? Do whatever you want. Not gonna play your giant? Is there a world where he doesn't play his giant? Yeah, what? Alright, we get a removal, we don't get a removal. So I guess Liliana is just gonna have to beat the removal. Does Liliana beat the removal? Or does Liliana beat the... First of all, land. Because we can block the Swift Sphere if he draws a card, right? And we can definitely block the giant. Can we block the giant? This is 6. That makes it a 3-3. It barely blocks the giant. And it doesn't block the giant that well. Ooh, okay. Well, let's start getting rid of his creatures.
Ah, one of your friends has to leave.
Ah, it's a nothing. Good. Activate ability. Activate ability. Let's trade. Coward. Don't even want to play it out. You have 20 life. I have 9. Alright, well, we beat Mono Red. Mono Black beats Mono Red. The world goes on. Alright, well, let's look at the deck, right? The Mono Black Devotion deck, it's pretty good. The only one game we lost was a very frustrating game because, yeah, we didn't draw any of this. We drew 2 this, nothing else. And that definitely did not help. I think we drew all of these, except the Aetherborn. All of these except the Aetherborn and also the Yarok. And then we draw all the lands. All of them. So, that game was just an anomaly. Other than that, the deck's pretty strong. It has a lot of dimensions. Of course, it does struggle against a good counterspell heavy deck or good counterspell board wipe heavy deck, but that's what the Thoughtseize are there for. There's a lot of hand disruptions. We got the Yarok, we got the Liliana, we even have a Pelakka Predation. These are all hand disruptions, which I would say this deck overall does perform quite well. Now, there's nothing else I can say about this. I think it's a pretty good deck. I do recommend it since, but it is kind of rare and mythic heavy. We got all these, Invoke Despairs and Phyrexian Obliterators. Kind of mythic heavy, but when you play Explorer, all the decks are going to be mythic heavy. It's a fun deck to play, don't get me wrong, and it's monocolor, so at least in the land base, it's easy to handle. The Nykthos, you can actually just run 1. You don't need 2. I don't think the Nykthos ever, at any point, made us or lose us the game, other than the last game where that extra mana helped us get the Yarok to a 3-3. But even if we couldn't do that, we could have just chump block and used the Liliana to make him sacrifice a creature, and that's totally fine, right? We would have still had the Murderous Rider to gain life, and kind of drawn out the game. Our opponent would have just quit anyway since they drew 4 lands. Dear God. Alright, so that's all I got for you today for this Friday Night Explore. Thank you very much for joining me, and I will see you guys next time.